What's up, Homestead homies? It's Off Good with Doug and Stacy. I'm Doug.
And I'm Stacy.
You know, I got to take a day off. We got to get on these rockers after a big day of cutting down trees and ripping stumps out of the ground. All right, so today we want to talk about a little bit of like health maintenance or animal maintenance for your domesticated animals like your dogs and your cats. We did a video about a raw food diet for your dogs and cats. I'll link that right here. And then, so Stacy wants to talk about today is like, we have a lab. When we lived in the city, we've had this lab for,
13 years.
Yeah, 13.
Yeah,
she's like 2 years over the national average of a lab's life. But we had a lot of problems with ears and with
eating their
itching
feet all the time.
Right.
Yeah, how many
yeast.
people have like dogs with chronic skin problems like boxers and spaniels and retrievers
Right.
and Labradors? I mean, there's so many other breeds that just have that chronic problem over and over and over again. And you're like at wit's end. What do I do? What do I do? What do I do?
So we're just sharing some of the tips and tricks that we use with you guys. This isn't the end-all be-all, but maybe if you give it a try, you might see some results. And then we also are using a lot of the stuff that we always talk about. Coconut oil, apple cider vinegar, kelp, you know, all these things that we're always telling you guys about for yourself is what we're going to be talking about. So it's a multi-use products that you can use on your homestead or in your house or your apartment or your condo or your mansion or wherever you're at
because we all have little dogs or pets.
And a lot of these problems that you find with pets is because they're getting the GMO feed all the time with these dry dog foods. These, what do you call them?
Kibble, dry food. Well, you know, a dog isn't meant to eat a lot of carbohydrate-based type foods. And then they're being put on because they're having this inflammation and skin reactions and different reactions going on. They're getting put on antibiotics, and it's like a vicious cycle. So dogs are getting the same diseases that we're getting, whether it be like hypothyroidism. A lot of dogs are suffering from like mental issues and depression too. And then lots and lots of skin allergies. So some of these little things that you can do to add to their diet, and I would really recommend if you do have a dog to put them on a grain-free diet or a raw food type diet. But always do your research. I'm going to be doing a video coming up on a little bit more specifics on raw food diet. But always, like I say, do your research onto it. But if not, you know, get them on a grain-free type diet, which would be very beneficial. And if not, you know, some of these little things will be very helpful into their diet because a lot of these dogs are not able to absorb as many, you know, nutrients and minerals into their body that they need.
Because just
especially
like humans,
for their coat.
Because just like humans, they're getting leaky gut syndromes and stuff too because they're eating all these GMOs and all this bad food. So the better you can have their diet, the better off they're going to be as well.
Yeah, just like anything else, you know, the how your skin looks is how your gut is. So if you're having problems with your skin, humans or dogs or cats, something's going on in the gut. So we want to kind of address that. So these are some simple, inexpensive ways that you guys can do that.
Right.
And the first thing that I want to talk about is by adding, let's do apple cider vinegar. Apple cider vinegar, raw apple cider, unfiltered raw apple cider vinegar is the end-all be-all to like everything for people and for dogs. But dogs, this is a great thing to add to their diet. So you can put it into their food, you can put it into their water, and that's why they can get it internally.
And you want to make sure that the apple cider vinegar is cloudy, not clear. You want it unfiltered with the mother. We make our own apple cider vinegar. We did a video about it right here, but just make sure it's cloudy. So if you go buy this at the store, you want to make sure it's cloudy,
you should be able
not
to
clear.
shake it up.
Yeah.
Right. You want it with the mother because it's a type of fermented food, which will be very beneficial for their gut. Because apple cider vinegar is good at balancing their digestive tract to kind of get everything in whack there. It also is good for the metabolism. A lot of dogs don't get out and exercise, you know, and move around because there are a lot of times they're in the home all the time or they're in a crate. So, you know, this way it'll help their metabolism. It's going to help their skin. It's going to help their coat. It's going to help their energy levels.
So are you sprinkling it on their food? Are you adding it in their water?
Either way. Yeah, either way.
So how much?
So it depends on the size dog you have. If you had like a little dog, like from 1 pound to 15 pounds, maybe a little teaspoon, you could put it in their food or their water. If you go maybe 15 to 35 pounds or so, I would go 2 teaspoons. And then 35 pounds to maybe up to, you know, 85, 90 pounds, I would go a tablespoon. Over 100 pounds, you know, maybe 100, 135, I go like a tablespoon and a half. And then if you're getting up to a couple 100 pounds, maybe go 2 tablespoons. Yeah. But, you know.
If your dog, like, you know, poo-poos it at first, then just back off just a little bit and kind of ease them in slower, you know. Sometimes they'll smell it or taste it and that'll turn them off, just like with kids, right? So you just, if you're doing a teaspoon, maybe if you notice they don't like it and they're not really consuming it, back it down to like a half a teaspoon, right. Let them get the taste, and then move them on up.
Because, yeah, my dogs don't even flinch at it. I mean, they have no problem with it whatsoever. So, and we utilize it with them. So that would be internally. It helps so many things. It's even good, you know, for fleas, because you're going to emit a little bit of a smell. It's
actually, we did a video right here of natural flea and tick repellent, and you just kind of put it on the nape of their neck like the cats.
Well, no, you could spray it. We could spray it on it. Like for the flea, if you're going to do flea removal, or not removal, but just if you want to repel them, I just usually, you can dilute it, but for my dogs, I use the actual, you know, apple cider vinegar, and I put it in a squirt bottle, and I just spray it over them. And it works just fine. No, but you can dilute it if it's too much, because what it's going to do, it just kind of helps the pH too, and it's just really nice on their fur and then on their skin. But what I wanted to say is a lot of labs, retrievers, a lot of your animals love to go swimming. And then they come out and they got all that water on them, and then it gets in their ears, and then that yeast kind of starts building. So what I do, because she's really bad, my lab is really bad about when she was younger, having a lot of this yeast issues, and it took a lot. I went on the raw food diet, and so she has been my challenge, that I really tried a lot of these things over and over, and I found out kind of what works, what doesn't work. And you can get one of the, like a squirt bottle, ketchup bottle, kind of a squirt bottle, and then I'll go half apple cider vinegar and half water, and then I will spray that so I can get down into her fur all throughout there, and I'll kind of rub it on her after she gets out of the water, especially around her paws, because you know how they itch their paws. And then you can even get a towel and kind of clean out her ears a little bit with the apple cider vinegar. And then what that does is it neutralizes the pH of everything going on. And really helps with your dogs that are swimming and in the water a lot, that get these chronic yeast problems. So the apple cider vinegar is great for that. I mean, I can't tell you how wonderful it has been for that.
All right. Now what about coconut?
We're moving on to coconut oil. So coconut oil is another one that you could add to the diet. Using this, putting it in their food. Just our dog, I just give it to them as a treat. They hear the lid open and they're over there sitting there waiting for their coconut oil, and like I give it to them every day. Tablespoon. Yeah, just like anything else. Just give them a little bit of it and see if they like it, if they can tolerate it or not. And then you can kind of move on. I would probably do about the same amount, depending on the size dog, as you do for the apple cider vinegar. But it's antibacterial, antifungal, antiviral.
That's why it's good for oral pulling.
And even for parasites. So to help, you know, repel them and get the parasites out of you. So, and this is going to really help with the skin. It's going to help with their immune system. It's going to help with so much with that yeast and that candida. It really will help. So adding this to the diet, supplementing, is just one really wonderful way. Now, another thing you can use coconut oil for is if you have like skin issues, like they're losing their hair, and of course if they have itchy hair. A lot of times cats and dogs will get like little patches of hair that has fallen out. That could be ringworm. It would also help with ringworm. If you did have ringworm, you can use a little coconut oil on there, because it's a fungus. Eventually it will go away. And you can also do apple cider vinegar on ringworm too. I would generally use maybe both. You know, put the apple cider vinegar on it, put some coconut oil on it. But if not, let's say they're having alopecia, they're losing hair, just maybe rubbing some of this on there and then putting on them externally and internally, and it's a great way to do it.
And if you're just feeding them kibbles, you can just mix it in with their food too. That will definitely help out. You know?
Oh yeah, because generally they like it, or otherwise you can hide it. Now, another thing that I have done is here's some coconut oil that I put into a squirt bottle. So let's say, and this is what we suffered a lot with the dog. She was always, I couldn't figure out, why does she keep itching her feet? Why does she keep itching her feet? You know, I thought I kind of addressed all this with the diet and, you know, adding different vitamins and minerals. So, you know, I would go ahead and you can put some of the coconut oil on their little feet and rub it in. And if they do lick it, it's okay, because it's the coconut oil. So that's something else that you might want to try to do. Another thing that I started doing, And this is what really helped tremendously. So let's say you've tried everything. You're doing the apple cider vinegar. You're doing the coconut oil. Kelp powder. And the best kelp to get for humans and for dogs is Norwegian or Icelandic type kelp. It's very inexpensive. You can find it online, and like for dogs, you can get it in like 5-pound tubs. It's not, and it would last you a very long time. You can see it, find it at most stores. They have kelp. So what I do is I make a little mineral powder for my dogs because kelp is very, very beneficial for their coat, for their skin, for your immune system. I mean, it's just amazing what it can do.
Why? What's in the kelp?
There's the iodine in there, and we see a lot of dogs suffering from hypothyroidism, and the iodine is what these animals and humans are needing. So kelp is something that is so crucial in the body. So putting the kelp powder, and then when you do, if you do order it, and it's not, like I say, not that expensive, it'll tell you for the weight how much to put on there. But like we have, almost 100-pound dogs, I'll put like a nice heaping teaspoon or so over it, or like a level tablespoon. I just sprinkle it on their food, or I put it in some yogurt. That would be another thing to add to their diet to help with their skin and their coat. Maybe giving them a dollop of kefir or yogurt, and then you can mix the kelp inside of that too with their food and give that to them for a treat. But kelp has really helped with our lab getting that last part of the puzzle kind of fixed, especially with the chronic ear infections and all that, and just adding that. Now what I've done to my kelp is I kind of added a little bit more of a zing to it, and I put the unrefined pink Himalayan sea salt in here too.
So many trace minerals. Yeah,
it has 83. So there's a lot of the trace minerals in the human body, and animals' bodies need it. So on my kelp, I would do like 3/4 kelp, and then I did 1 part of the sea salt. So I'll sprinkle that in. I'll put it in their yogurt when I give it to them, or on their food, depending on what they're eating. So these little things have been wonderful to help with our dog's health. If you have a dog that's living outside, this is going to be good for them, for their coat, for their energy levels, for their metabolism, just adding more of beneficial bacteria into their gut. So I couldn't say enough for this. So
these are just some tips and tricks that we use. We're not veterinarians. We don't claim to be veterinarians or doctors either. If you listen to our other health and nutrition stuff, we do a lot of research and we try to bring this information to you guys, and then we're hoping that you implement some parts of it, or you at least investigate it. So leave your comments down below if you have tried any of this stuff on your dogs and what the results were. When we did this video here, Why Are You Sick?, a lot of people chimed in and said that they noticed big differences in their health once they got away from processed food, from sugar, from white flours, stuff like this, bromates, all this stuff, and then they were like, wow, this really made a difference, and they were thanking us for trying to get the word out. And that's all we're trying to do, guys. We're not the end-all, be-all of anything. We're not telling you guys what to do. We're not telling you how to cut your stumps or cut your wedges in your trees. I mean, we're just showing you guys, we're inviting you into our lives. We're posting these videos to help you guys out, to give you some ideas, and then you guys are supposed to take that information and adapt it to your lifestyles and do what you feel is best for you. And if you carbon copy everything we do, we're totally cool with it too. So this is Off Grid with Doug and Stacy. I'm Doug.
And I'm Stacy.
And we'll see you guys on the next one.
See you guys.